Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is the Health and Wellness Show, and we're talking about gender-based violence. The numbers are high and the cases are many. So we want to talk about how to prevent it, how to manage it. And before we went for a break, we were talking about the cases, the situation in the country and how they're handled. And on set with me, I have Sarah Dafala, who is a case manager for such cases, and she's also an advocate against gender-based violence. Thanks once again for joining us, Sarah. We also have Alberta Wambua, who is the director for the Gender Violence Recovery Center in Kenya, and they have several centers across the country. And at the end of the show, of course, you'll let our viewers know how they can reach you for recovery options. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you.
And importantly, we have Fiona Anyango, who is a survivor and champion of gender-based violence, and now she advocates against it and she helps other people going through the same to come out of it. And thank you so much, Fiona, kwa kuja and tuambia story yako. Na nataka tueleze zaidi. You came out of your relationship or marriage. What did it take for you? Like, ni nini ilikufanya ukaamua this is it? Ama ulifika wapi ndio ukatoka?
Okay. So haikuwa rahisi nitoke. Juu sikukuwa na kazi, sikukuwa na any business. So a friend of mine akaniambia kuna first I want to thank Feminist Center PRJC ya kina Sara.
Ya kina Sara.
Yeah. Kuna ganywa chakula tuende. So mimi nilikuwa like siezi naona mpaka ile kuogopa kutembea. Juu unaona sasa wewe ndio topic. Ukitembea tusini ule alipigwa jana. Au tumoze wanapigananga hivyo. So venye tulienda pale ya nilipata hiyo courage, nilimit na editor. Nikapata hiyo courage after wamegawanyana, tulipewa hiyo siku zoma chakula walikuwa wanapeananga chakula pia kwa society. Pads kwa wasichana wenye hawana. So hapo ndo nilipata opportunity ya kuongea na editor. Nikamwambia editor, this and this happening to me, na sina mtu wa kumwambia, sina mtu wa kumuelezea venye nitafanya, sijui nifanye aje like. Akanambia sasa hivi tuko busy, unaona vile kuko, nenda rudi kesho, ofisi yetu iko pale. So nilirudi, tukakutana na yeye, nikamuelezea. Akanambia wewe mwenyewe unatakaje? Sisi hatuwezi kukuamulia. Wewe mwenyewe unatakaje? No, nikamwambia mimi nikipata kazi siwezi kaa pale tena. Akanambia uko sure? Uko sure. Akamwambia sawa, niachie, andika namba yako na full name, nitakuita. Kuna training tutaanza, nitakuita. Nikapeana, nikaenda home. Kabla hata tuanze hiyo training, kitu kama 2 days hivi tena kwa violent. Tulipigana the all night, hakuna neighbor kututetea juu ametuzoea. Hakuna mtu atakuja kutuamua. So tulipigana pale to the extent paka nika collapse. Mimi nilifanya kusaidiwa na neighbors. After sasa ni kisu iko hapo, panga, marungu. Mimi uko unaweza niona hivi unione hivi sahi. Hata sikuwa na hivi venye niko. Watoto sijui wengine wameenda wapi. Yani wamefanya tu kurescue tu na one of my friends. So niliamka kwa hospitali nyingine ya Shofko. Akapata wamenitibu, nilivyoamka kwanza kuuliza uko sawa, unaweza ona hii, nikamwambia usikuwe na wasiwasi, tutakupeleka mahali utafanya nini? Mahali utalala, mahali utakula. Walinipea shelter vizuri, watoto wako wako safe. So nikatoka hospitali, nikaenda wakaniweka kwa safe house.
Okay.
Hiyo ndio ilifanya nikatoka. Juu sasa ile nilikuwa nakufa. Hata ni Mungu ningekufa.
Pole sana, na tunashukuru za
uko. Hivyo ndio venye nilitoka, nikamit na kina Sara. Kumit nao, I thank God, wakaniweka kwa training. So venye waliniweka kwa hiyo training yao, after tulimaliza hiyo training ilikuwa ya 4 days economic empowerment. Nikaanza biashara. So mimi nauzanga, nafanya biashara yangu, nauza snacks, smochaizi, bites ya. I thank God. Juu saa hiyo watoto wangu wako sawa. Hata mimi niko
unakaa nao peke yako?
Yes.
Okay.
Niko nao. Yeah. Na siwezi ona mtu, hata neighbor wangu mahali ako katika hiyo gender-based violence ama neighbor na ninyamaze. I will speak out.
Which is very important na tutaongelea hiyo saizi tu. But Sarah, please tell us, how easy or difficult, at what point do you draw the line kama majirani, unasikia watu wanapigana kila siku. Where do you draw the line and you intervene, unasema enough is enough, unatoa huyo? Like, is it possible to get them out of the situation before it's too late?
It's quite a tricky question. But yes, at some point, of course, when they are fighting, always women are very vulnerable. And at that moment, the woman will always side with you. Because one, she needs someone to just be there with her. Secondly, she's bleeding, she's helpless.
Yeah.
So what we do, hospital is always our first stop. Because that is where we go, the doctor will assess the situation. Then if we need to proceed for the justice, after talking to the survivor, that is when we shall continue. But in the community, with the domestic, it is not really simple, because the moment, like just she has said, she collapsed. But when she wakes up, the first thing anakuuliza ama nini. In fact, they are always very violent even to us. Because at that moment, yeye anafikiria arudi kwake. Wewe unamwambia ama unampeleka, yeye hataki kufunga bwana yake. So it is not always easy. But whenever we get such a case, we don't leave that woman at that, because we know that moment she's not in her real state of mind.
State of mind.
Yes. So after taking her to the hospital, getting the first aid, we recruit that woman in our space. We have a network for survivors. So she becomes one of the survivors that we want to work with. So in that group, we always have monthly, we sit with them for a group therapy. We speak with them as they also speak. They tell us things that we don't even know, but by then you don't put it. Group therapy is quite
complex.
Yes, because it doesn't have will I say a moderator. You just leave people to talk. Okay. And by so doing, that is when you assess the situation, how it is. So we know this one is really in need of medical attention, or this one needs to go to rehab, or this one needs to go to safe house after hearing their stories.
Okay.
But for sure, getting a woman from that state, like just she has told you, it is not easy, because they always go back. And by so doing, even our lives, it is always on threats, because when they go back to their homes, they speak against you. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Now, we are talking about domestic violence in Fiona's case, but Alberta, I know we have very many aspects of gender-based violence. We have sexual violence, we have now domestic violence, we have even violence against children. Even men experience violence, but of course women are the higher number. We even have technology-facilitated gender-based violence. So how does someone get help with all those varieties? I want us to help our audience be able to seek help. So how would you help them seek help? And just touch on all those forms of violence, and then finish with TFGBV, which is becoming a trend.
Yes.
Yes.
The survivor has to understand that they're being abused. Because a lot of times we don't even realize we're being abused. We think it's the norm. It's been normalized, you know. So we have to understand that this is what abuse is like, you know. It's some of it's even culturally entrenched. Two, we also have to have a society that's aware and it's willing not to be a bystander. Because what Fiona was talking about, there's a lot of bystander attitude. We're thinking it's that other person's problem, it doesn't support us. I mean, it doesn't affect us. And a lot of times at that particular point where you're undergoing abuse, you're either confused, you don't know what to do, you just want that support. So again, there are different ways you can get that support. So one, there's a national helpline, 1195, that you can always call across the country. And
1195. So it's toll free.
It's toll free. And there's also one for children, 116. So any of these numbers you can call across the country, you'll be referred to the hospital or whatever support you need. Some of them it's even rescue, that police have to come and rescue you, you know, or an ambulance and so forth. We also have a toll-free at GVRC, 0800-720-565.
Please say it again.
0800-720-565.
Okay.
Now, apart from this, you can walk into any health facility. Walk to any health facility, walk to any GVRC. There are 8 GVRCs, there are other 13 we've set up across the country, or any hospital. Just walk in. They have a right to even give you first aid care. Some of them, earlier I talked about the police, you can reach out there. The others would reach out, for example, to their, if you feel safe, that is, to your worship areas, either the mosque, the church, the pastor, the teachers, and I repeat, if you feel safe, because these are also spaces that we also get abused. You rightfully say that men are also abused.
Yes.
And there's a whole challenge to that because of how culturally they are socialized, and even society judging. You know, mwanaume unachapwaje, for example. There's also a lot of victim blaming. Go to the police, for example, or any other space, and you're asked, what are you doing out at night?
Yeah.
Why were you dressed like this? Your husband bet you because huko umepika chakula on time. You know, and there's always a lot of a part of victim blaming, again, where you're blamed for it. You asked me about the different forms of violence. Yes, the sexual violence happens. All these forms happen to both men
and women and children.
So and children. So men are also raped.
Yes.
Important to say, even gang raped. Men also undergo domestic violence, physical violence, intimate partner violence. There's economic violence. Fiona also alluded to that at some point, where you're even told you don't need to go to work. Or if you go to work, you know, all your salary or whatever you earn has to go to your husband. He decides what you're doing. Or so those are the psychological. It's also very bad. You're being abused, you know. And there's also female genital mutilation.
Yes.
There's actually forced male circumcision. We saw it a lot around the electro-violence in 2007. We also have child marriages. You're a child. And one thing I would like to mention is that a lot of times it's hard to undergo one form of violence. So, for example, if you're physically abused, you've undergone psychological abuse, you've economic, you know, the opportunities to even go and get resources, you know, the cost even of gender-based violence. In 2016, there was a study by the National Gender Equality Commission where it cost the country 46.1 billion. Again, there are lost opportunities. So all these are different forms of violence that you cannot say that it's this one form of violence. Sometimes you find it's a lot. Something Fiona alluded to also, and a lot of times we take it for granted, is the family violence or the children getting violated.
Yes.
So you think we are fighting as a couple and you're thinking it's not affecting the children. So it's affecting them. They're getting regressive behaviors, for example, and things like that. So there are many places that you can get help. But I would like to insist that at the hospitals, just go to a hospital, go to a health facility, any health facility first. If they're not able to provide, they'll give you the first aid and they'll refer you to the next level of service, for example, a hospital. Yes.
Thank you so much, Alberta, and thank you for the good job that you're doing.
Thank
Just to repeat the hotlines, if you're a child and you're being abused at home or wherever you are, you can call 116. If you are an adult or just I think anyone can call and get help, right?
Yes.
So there's 116 and 1195. And then the other one
0800-720-565.
Don't die. There's help for you. Please reach out and you will be assisted to come out of the violence or abuse. All right. So Fiona, now unaweza sema umepona ama bado, because as we can see you, we only the physical you know, marks. But Alberta na Sarah wamesema the mental impact is bigger than even the physical.
Yeah.
that unaweza kupona the physical but the mental bado iko, tunaita trauma. Hata ukishahama umetoka uko na watoto wako, do you sometimes have those flashbacks here, the violence?
Yeah.
And how is it for you?
Okay, sometimes kitu inafanya pia uhave hizo flashbacks. Unajua kushatoka kwa hiyo violence, umehama, like mimi ndo nitoke sasa niende kwangu. Ilibidi sasa polisi waingilie kati. Huyo mtu alishikwa. Unajua sasa venye alishikwa, sikukuwa na pesa. Ningetoka pale niende wapi? Ningerudi pale kwake. Once umeshapeleka mtu polisi, huwezi rudi kwake. Na mtu wako polisi. So tulikuwa tuende kotini. Polisi mmoja akaniambia, I will not mention the name. Chukua hii pesa, jua una mali ya kuenda. Uende ufanye nini? Uchukue watoto, uhame, tafute kwako. Than kuenda polisi na mambo mengi. So nikakuja nikasema, enyewe sinichukue tu nihame, juu sina. Hata tukienda kotini nitakaa wapi? Nitaendelea pale. Nimesaidiwa tu kidogo tu kulingana na ile situation nilikuwa. Once ukionekana nilipigwa, unaona kuna meno sina kama mbili.
Pole sana.
Still bado niko na hiyo pain. Juu sasa hivi venye kuna kwanga na weather ya baridi. Kuna hizi mbili nafaa niende nitoe. Zinaumanga. Sitakangi kurudi kwa hiyo story sana.
It's okay.
Sawa.
So, neza achia tu, ukiona utaki kuendelea, it's okay to stop.
Tuendelee kidogo.
Sawa.
Okay. So, hivyo ndo venye nilihama, ndo nikapata hiyo pesa. Nikalipa nayo nyumba, nikaanza maisha. So venye kina Sara waliingilia kati kwangu, wakaniweka training, nikaanza business. Once umeanza kushika pesa yako, unajua pia watoto wako wanakuwa na furaha. Juu kila kitu yenye ulikuwa una need, ukiomba, ukichapwa, sasa unaweza fanya. Kama ni shule, sasa wanaweza enda. Bado niko na mtoto wa 10 years na 14 years. Kina Sara walinichukulia huyo wa 10 years, wanaendanga wanamfundisha, wanampatia kama bags za shule nini, unaona. So unapata ile nini ulikuwa nayo sana haiko, juu uko financial. Unaweza jinunulia nguo, unaweza lisha watoto wako, unaweza fanya anything you like bila mtu command ama bila mtu kukupea stress.
Now kuna issue moja uliongelea about polisi alikwambia msiende kotini, wenda tuchukua vitu zako, enda kwa nyumba yako. Tuko na muda mfupi tu sana, but it's a very important aspect of the perpetrator. We have empowered the survivor, Alberta. We have empowered the children. We've cancelled the children. But what happens to the perpetrator? Utapata ameingia into another relationship, abuse another woman. So the cycle continues. And there's actually a study by Aga Khan University on violence reporting in East Africa, that's Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, that number one, the highlight was that many cases go unreported. And number two is that media and other, platforms, social media and everywhere, they do not shame and name the perpetrator. So while we tell the stories of survivors, we have the perpetrator akiwa uko chini ya maji, hakuna mtu anajua huyu ni violent person, aliabuse huyu. So what do you think needs to be done to ensure that perpetrators of violence, whether it's sexual, even TFGBV, and all other forms of violence are brought to book, and that people get to know that this person did this and they have been arrested? For the purposes of those who are also doing it, to be brought to book and know that if I do this, these are the consequences. What is the gap and what needs to be done? Sarah and then Alberta, and then we'll finish up with Fiona as we wrap up the show.
Yes, for me, I think our judiciary, because there's a word they used to say, they still say, you are not guilty until you are proven.
You're innocent until proven guilty.
Yes. So this one, when you are still at police station, hospital, I'm working with survivor, the perpetrator is still very fresh. So when it reaches the judiciary, that is when the perpetrator has been apprehended and handed over to judiciary. I think at that point is where we should have that register. So that all the perpetrators should be put on that black book as you go to get your good conduct. That thing should come out. Because if anyone, even if you go to another country, you're looking for work or what, the moment they'll plug into that, they will see, this person is a criminal. And so, like now that you've left someone with a scar, let that person also remain with that scar for life. Because most of the time, even GVRC, all these hospitals that are the police and all these justice actors, they are there for survivor. But they've forgotten the perpetrator. The survivor will get medication, the survivor will get justice. Then that justice is not justice, because the survivor will come back to the community empty-handed, but with that scar still with her. But the perpetrator will go somewhere like a safe space. You see, jailing this survivor doesn't mean that this person has got punished. That person in the jail will be eating, sleeping, and doing, is very free, you see. So this survivor will come back to the community, hustling again from scratch. Remember, even there's already a name that has been put on you, a survivor.
Yes.
And that thing, like Fiona shared here, you remain to be survivor as long as we live. So after 10 years, 15 years, this man will come back to the community and even being employed in a very good maybe office. The family of that person will continue with their life. But me, I'll urge the government, perpetrators should be put somewhere that they will always think. Because even now as we are talking here, Chebet, there's violation that is happening somewhere.
Yes.
After 10 years, 5 years, this person will be free. And if nothing is being done, another person will do it.
Yes.
We are talking every now and then about survivor, about gender-based violence. But this thing is, in fact, now that our children are back home, it is going to be ×5.
So as we wrap up, what do you think must be done, just in your final words, your parting shot, then Alberta and then Fiona?
A criminal is always a criminal.
A criminal is always kwa society.
Aenda afanye kazi ngumu na alipie huyu survivor.
Yes.
Akikuwa prison, apewe kazi, na hiyo kazi akifanya, hiyo pesa irudie survivor.
Asante,
maisha ya survivor iendelee.
Thank you, Sarah. Alberta, your parting shot?
Yes, so my parting shot is one definition of the law where it's missing. So for example, femicide is not in the law. My second part would be, what does justice mean to the survivor?
Yes.
And that's why you can see that Fiona would rather have gotten the rent, because the access to justice process takes a long time. So how do we make it timely for the survivor? And what does it mean to the survivor? So not just going to jail. How does that person pay for all the lost opportunities, not just medical treatment, psychosocial support, all the lost opportunities, all the psychological trauma,
Thank you,
and be
Alberta.
able to do that.
All right. So justice delayed is justice denied.
Yes, and the prevention
full justice
bit.
is paying for the wrongs and also the missed opportunities.
And the prevention and socialization.
And the prevention and socialization. Thank you so much, Alberta. Fiona, tukimalizia, your parting shot.
Okay, mimi kitu naweza sema nikimalizia, perpetrator unaenda na mtu kotini, mmekuwa na kesi, like tuseme mimi sasa. By that time ningejua kina Sara ama ningejua kina editor, singechukua hiyo pesa, si ni ukweli? But sikukuwa na venye naweza fanya. Unaona? So unapata labda mimi huyo nilichukua, but kuna wale ambao wako vizuri, wako na pesa, wanafika mpaka kotini. Tumeenda na huyu perpetrator pale kotini, wanaenda wanatolewa na bond. Wewe unarudi kwa nyumba, unajua yule mtu ameshikwa, jioni mnakutana tena. Unajua hiyo kitu ina hurt. Unaona? So hiyo pia ni lazima iangaliwe kidogo.
Asante sana, Fiona. All right, ningependa sana tuendelee, lakini muda ni mfupi na this is where we have to wrap up the show. But thank you so much, Sarah, Alberta and Fiona, for making time kukuja kuongelea about this very important topic that is gender-based violence. Thank you so much for coming. All right, that's it from us for now. Gender-based violence is a serious issue. Seek help and accept help. 116-1195. And also, as a perpetrator, remember that GBV is punishable by law and it is not right, and don't abuse another human being. And of course, for people in relationships and in family setups, remember, it is important and it is better to come out of the relationship alive than to come out of it in a coffin. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Chabet Birir, and have a lovely evening.